was another quiet town. And Natalie Bollinger lived there. At the time of the events, she was 19 years old, and she was known for being super active on her social media, especially Facebook. Now, on December 13th, she shares something on Facebook that seemed more like somebody described it as a journal entry, but she called it a public announcement or almost like a warning. She writes something that it's kind of also very scary. In that post, she shares that she met an older guy. His name is Sean Schwartz. And she kind of goes through the timeline of their relationship was. And then she said that recently she moved away from where he was living, and that recently he moved close to her, and that he was basically stalking her, messaging her, emailing, calling, and that it was getting to the point of being scary. Now, this creepy guy that she was talking about, again, Sean, had his own set of Facebook videos, and the guy looked very like his hair was long and he didn't, take care of it. It was like the shovel appearance, and his background looked cluttered. I am trying to give you a picture of the videos. When you're recording a video, you usually, I don't like to have a bunch of stuff behind me. You want to make it look clean. You want to look the best that you can. But this guy didn't put any effort on any of those two things. So on December 22nd, Natalie gets a restraining order against Sean. But on December 28th, so that period between Christmas and New Year, when everyone is partying and visiting, Natalie's parents report her missing after 26 hours, that she basically vanished. She had no contact with anybody, and the last time she was seen was just leaving her parents' house. The police had nothing, no leads and no evidence, nothing. But Natalie's friend knew exactly in her mind who did it. Sean, right? It would only make sense that the guy that was stalking her basically took her. Now, the investigation was going strong, and they were going through her calls and text messages, and and showed that she had no contact with Sean, and that he basically had nothing to do with her disappearance. At least they didn't think so. The day that she went missing, she was supposed to go meet the guy that she was seeing, and in a series of text messages, you can read them going back and forth, telling how they had guns and they were loaded, and if Sean got close to her, they could use it. More and more, Sean was looking like he probably didn't have anything to do with it. But which was fitting the testimony of Sean. The investigation continues, and apparently, soon enough, they have somebody. On February of 2018, so the next year, they arrested Joseph Michael Lopez, who was 23 years old at the time. Apparently, he was one of the last people that's been texting with Natalie and before she went missing. He says that he contacted Natalie after she posted an ad on Craigslist saying, "I want to put a hit on myself." He contacted her and he said that he was a professional hitman and that he wanted to just basically meet her. The day that she disappeared, on December 28th, 2017, he said that they drove around after he picked her up. He said that he tried to change her mind. Okay, right, you're a hitman, supposedly. It makes sense. Maybe he was like, "Oh, I'll try to change this girl's mind. I'm gonna save her." But listen, you could have called the police. You could have taken somewhere. Say, "Hey, she wants to take her life. She put this post on Craigslist." He didn't do that. Basically, she wanted to die and he wanted to kill. So she told him that she wanted to be killed from behind while on her knees. And this guy gave two different theories. At first, he said that he changed his mind and dropped her off somewhere and that she took her own life. And then he said that he actually was with her, that she knelt down on the ground, and he did the same by her left side, slightly in front of her, and that they both prayed before he shot her. Some people theorized in the beginning that he was the one who posted the ad trying to cover up for murdering her, but it was pretty clear that she did it herself, and even her dad was upset and so sad to learn that, she could do that. She could hire somebody to kill her, and that he was not good enough of a person to report it to the police and help her. That she clearly needed help, that she was so high that she couldn't make that decision for herself. Joseph was found guilty and sentenced to 48 years in prison. If he survives, he'd be out in his 70s. So how do you go from being a bubbly, very present social media kind of girl to hiring a hitman to kill you? In this case, it was pretty clear that she was not in her right mind and that she was abusing drugs to the point where she was really not okay to make decisions. They really made it harder for the police by pointing back to Sean. And in the end of this case, Sean was the one that knew what was going on with her and nobody else. things are not always what they seem, and people can look like they don't care about their appearance in the outside and be wonderful people willing to or trying to help somebody. And sadly, society can be very judgy in this kind of relationships that really don't match a younger girl with an older guy who lives in the streets and looks the way that he did. Yet she was young and she was struggling. She was wanting to take in, her own life. How the effects of drugs really took a toll on her and made her feel like there was not a way out. And again, the cry for help that sometimes we not always can listen. I think as a parent, it must be one of the hardest things to see your kid destroy themselves by doing drugs and not be intrusive or not be, that person that is pushing them away by judging every decision. How do you act as a parent of an addict? How can you help them see that they can get out of it when they are old enough to make their own decisions? It's easier when they're underage and you can make decisions for them. But what happens when they're old enough to make their own mistakes? I really can't imagine what her family had to go through after learning this terrible, terrible thing that happened. And not being able to understand their own daughter mind, not because they didn't care or didn't want, but because of what drugs do to people. Sometimes people judge, drug addicts because they're doing this or they're doing that. And most of the time, the people around them for not helping. But how can you help somebody who doesn't want to be helped? How do you as a parent convince your child that it will be okay? It's gonna be hard, but you can get out of this. How do you do that? How do you find the words? How do you find the way of getting through them? It's just one of those things that I will never judge or, it must be hard to be her. It must be hard to be their parents. Feeling lost as she was feeling, and the parents not being able to help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. Did you hear about her case when it was going on? This is a recent case. What do you think about it? Just share your thoughts down below. Everything that I think about this case makes me sadder and sadder, and So it's not, personal. It is personal. If you are struggling with drugs, if you're struggling with the purpose of your life, I'm gonna leave a number in the description box below. Get help. I know sometimes we can feel helpless and we feel hopeless, but I can assure you that there's always a way out. I've known several people that gotten out and they rebuilt themselves, they rebuilt their lives, and they're happy. I can think of two right now. So there will always be a second chance.